To the August meeting of the Warren Town Council. The first thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to ask Bill Estrella, a former school committee member and a former councilman, to lead us, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, next on the agenda is the public comment period. That's where anybody can come up and speak about anything that's not on the agenda. We can't really take action on. It's more informative. Whoever would like to speak, please come forward, state your name and make your comment.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm Sheila Belanger, my daughter Marissa Ray, from 65 Central Avenue. I left a packet. I don't know. I only had 4. Does somebody not have one? I have next one right here.
I have it memorized.
We can share.
I have it memorized.
Thank you. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I know you have big agendas, but this is something that I just felt like we needed to come forward to. It's been a fight for probably 30 years now, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I just want to bring you up to maybe 2012 when we started asking if the town could clear the brook in the backyard. Not of just my house, those on Vernon Ave, whose backyard goes to Central Avenue. In front of us were street dead ends and another couple of houses on the side. When it rains, we lose 3/4 of our yard. It used to be 1/3. Now it just keeps coming closer. The brook is so clogged. It's coming closer to the house. The sump pumps are on constantly. My uncle, who lived there for many years before me, said the town would come every spring or every other spring and get rid of all the fallen branches because there's so many trees and woods back there. It's really thick. And so it's really killed all of our bushes and trees, even though we keep replanting every couple of years, and they might last a couple of years and they die. Can't get to the shed in the backyard. One of those pictures reflects that without rain boots, because it might be a good 10 inches high. So finally, in May of 2020, I was advised by somebody. They said, talk to the, we were bugging Bob Ruley, who is town planner, I believe, was his title, or director. And so then we went and wrote a formal letter to the town manager at the time, Miss Michaud. So in that packet, the top letter was, I wrote to her and I just gave her a little history of even in the past when the town had paid engineers back in 2001 money to assess the problem. And they said it was going to cost like, 1.5 million to repair it. But we were just asking if in the meantime, before they spend that kind of money, if we can try cleaning the brooks out again with the debris. So I sent that letter 2020 and because the walls of the brook were starting to collapse. And there's pictures in that packet. You'll see a nice little brook wall when it was dry, and then the one in front of it where the yards are collapsing into it. Then a year later, with the help of Miss Michaud and Mr. Bob Ruley, the director of planning, as well as engineers from, I think it was Fuss and O'Neill, the town paid them. And it was a major step for us saying, you're going to pay them to look into this and assess it again. And it was completed, and they came up with several proposed plans, and financially there were amounts at each alternative and what relief, and the relief for each plan was pretty close. So even the one that was, I think it was alternative 1 or 2,
I lived there.
it was filed with an application with DEM in 2020. Then December, I apologize for the dates. December 2022, DEM responds that they need additional information and revisions to our application and the information that was provided by the engineers. The town manager and Mr. Ruley met with the engineers again several times, and they had to pay them more money. DEM responded finally August, that was December, August of 2022, and they needed a little more information. Spring of 23, well, the people that around us who get the water in their yard found out Mr. Bruley left. So we went running down to the town hall hoping, uh-oh, we want to make sure this isn't going to just slide through the cracks, all this hard work over the years. And went in and spoke with Miss Michaud briefly, and she had the plans, and she said they were still waiting for info from DEM and CRMC. So that was spring of 23. July of 23, my daughter and I kind of just walked in one day and met Mr. Durfee, who was a new guy in that spot, and told him we didn't want to see this project fall through. And we'd known there was some money there aside for it. We had been told that for a couple of years. And he said he had only been on the job like a month, but he found all the paperwork, and he said, good news. And that was July 17th. He said the state has just signed off on the project and CRMC. And Brian at DPW, I think he said, will help oversee this project. But the bad news is it won't begin until next July, which was a year later, this July. And we all were down about it, just anxiously waiting for this project for so long. He said it's because the ground will be a lot drier then after all the spring rain, and they have too many projects lined up right now when they just got the approval. So now July 1st just came and left. We've been patient. We just feel like we need to get the brook cleaned out. If nothing else, the pipe under Warren Boulevard that used to be a giant pipe is now like a straw. Even if they get to that towards the end of cleaning out the brook, just to see something start, we're just really all frustrated about it. So we're here again asking for everyone's help. And I don't know if there's anything that I missed. People are selling their houses. Her friend just did next door.
Yes, because they were sick and tired of the water issue. And along with the DEM, the watershed, they were also in agreement of the project and as a sense of being grandfathered in, since, you know, technically they wouldn't allow it now, but because it had been cleaned out in the past. So then they came, they did a bunch of markings, they put a bunch of sticks into the yard, which they've been there now for probably about 3 years. I probably have like 2 left because my lawnmower's gone over them on the times that I could reach that far. But you know, half my yard is overgrown, full of poison sumac, poison ivy. It's just, I know we've had a lot of rain this year, but it's been progressively getting worse and worse since the last 3 years I've owned the home I bought from my mom. Thank you.
And lastly, this is part of the packet, and it shows her central dead ends here, and the brook is right at the end. And it goes behind the properties here. So our yards fill up here, but also these homes that are on Vernon, and the houses actually sit on Vernon, the few of them, all their backyards are on Central. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Same thing. They're like swimming pools, half their property. And it's not just a few inches. I'm talking maybe up to your shins at least when it does rain. So it's clear where the brook is. And over here is where the pipe is that goes out under Warren Boulevard. That
All the way to
must be
Alfred's.
clogged. And then it continues, yeah, all the way out to Main Street near Alfred's. Is what.
And we realize that, you know, it can never be perfect. But when it rains, the water lasts, you know, a good few days. And the hope is that maybe even if it added an extra 10 or 15 feet out of our yards, that would be success, just with cleaning out.
I'm gonna ask the solicitor and our department heads for any, what the status is, because I do remember we've talked about this. I think we put some funds aside for this. Could you possibly give them an update?
There are no funds currently for this.
Okay.
Barbara and I have walked the site a few times. There's more issues it's not as easy as getting there. We don't have the equipment or manpower or first lane. I don't know where it was told that the DPW was going to do it. We can't get trucks talking about this. You know, it would take a lot of dry weather for us to get in there without moving everything, causing more damage to the yards and then ultimately what false yards. So at the moment, there's no funding for, if this plan was probably had this plan with Russell and Neil and said the DPW would do it, but it had never been talked to the DPW about capabilities. And
and it's a pinch point, we've kind of talked about this, it goes two different ways. One of the streams kind of goes towards where it's supposed to be a longer project, behind Alfred's assignment, that project that shut down kind of short of where it's supposed to go due to some neighbors not on some property, so. There's a lot that has to be worked. We don't actually have an easement with that drainage on their property right now, so we do have to make sure we get paperwork that it's allowing us to actually be on their property. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it just has not dried out. Every time we turn around, it's still plugged.
I'll take a look at the easement issue. I'm sure we can get that straightened out. I know that, John, you have some experience with this, drainage.
Yeah, I kind of grew up in that neighborhood, yeah. And it was never as bad as it is now. Over the years, it's progressively gotten worse. And I was telling Anthony earlier in the meeting, the late '70s, I think when I was a junior in high school, I worked for the town of Warren. One of the jobs I did was get on my hands and knees and walk all the way down that ditch from where it starts all the way to, it used to be a J tree back then, and cleaned out that ditch. That was one of my jobs, and then just apparently we stopped doing it.
Well, I can add to this.
One that Bob had worked on hired by their house, then there was the lower end, supposed to be 2 phases. And that lower end was phase 1 to get it so that the water has to go, and that's where the property owners not allow that project to proceed further. So as it is, we can only go so far in creating that ditch, you still have the pinch point. So you may not have the issue where they are, they cause an issue where at another property. So it's kind of like, it deserves more of a look, because there is kind of catch-22 or potentially cause more issues from the property.
I can bring us up to speed on this. It's a two-phase project. Historically, the town used to clean it. At some point, DEM declared that stream a natural stream, which stopped us from going in. I believe there was a neighbor in that neighborhood that actually got in trouble or reprimanded by DEM for something that was done to the stream behind their house. So I think that time period is where pretty much access that the town would willingly do stopped. Then George Toasty donated property on Kenyon Lane. All of the property to the west of Kenyon Lane is donated to the town. The plan was to put a retention pond up at that part, and then it was going to be able to hopefully control the amount that would come down. That plan is probably what Mr. Rulli was talking about. Unfortunately, the funding that he would, I don't want to go down that road. So I think that's the plan that was discussed. The second part, as Mr. Wheeler's talking about, doing the stone-lined stream, that was separate, and that did indeed come to a halt where the neighbors towards the end wouldn't allow them on the property. So this has been an ongoing, I lived there, as you know. I was
Yes.
across the street from you.
Yes.
It's an ongoing problem, and we're not just saying we're not going to do anything. It's an interesting situation of getting permission and funding to do. If we could have done what we wanted to do, we probably would have 20 years ago. But it has to be in coordination with DEM, and they haven't, well, Mr. DeSisto will look into that. And now that we have the new planner and our new DPW director, hopefully we can give you an update, but that's why it was two-phase.
Yep.
And that was discussed, that would have controlled. So all of that water would have been held at a higher elevation than let out. That never came to fruition.
Well, I think what I'd like to do is possibly make this a September agenda item and ask the people involved to have a breakdown on us of where we are, where we're going, and what our options are. At least that way it'll keep it on our radar.
Thank you.
Thanks. Because I know they had approved like at least cleaning out the debris as a startup. And I'm wondering, even if the ones on our end have given permission to go in the yard, just to get all the fallen trees from the woods and help get that out. Is that something in the meantime that maybe we?
Well, that's what the
Talk
solicitor
about
is
getting
Yeah, they're
some
gonna
relief
look into
with-
that and see
Great.
where we have easements and where
Great.
we don't to get
Okay.
into the work. And if you know some of your neighbors that won't let us on there, say, please, will you let them on so they can?
I know
fix
all
this?"
of my.
They all
side.
signed
Yeah, the top
papers.
end wasn't the problem. It's
lower end?
the lower.
Yes,
end.
they also, all our neighbors signed all the appropriate paperwork that was asked for by Bruley, and he submitted that to DEM too. That, I think they requested that we get that approval. And there's someone on the other end, I know, up closer to Main Street, yeah.
So this will be on our agenda in September.
Okay,
If you want to come down and join us,
We will.
feel free, or you can watch us on TV.
okay,
But this way here, it'll keep it on our front burner, and that way they'll keep an eye on it.
okay.
All right?
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for letting us vent. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the public comment period? Okay. Next on the agenda, we have a presentation from Rhode Island Emergency Management regarding a placement of an 800 megahertz radio tower on Ridgeway Drive.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. My name is Mark Pappas, and I'm the Director of Emergency Management for the state of Rhode Island. I appreciate the council's time in hearing us tonight on our request and proposal, which is to put an 800 megahertz first responder communications tower at 47 Ridgeway Drive, which is a Rhode Island Department of Transportation site. Yeah, do you need one? You good? Do you need one? You need do you need a presentation?
He's gonna send it to me anyway.
Good, okay. I'll just give you a little overview of the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency's part in the Rhode Island Statewide Communications Network, also known as RISCON. By Rhode Island General Law 3015-43, we are authorized solely and primarily for oversight of the communication system that's statewide in Rhode Island that has to do with first responder communications and radio operations. The system is comprised of 29 state tower sites spread geographically throughout the state. And all sites are connected by a point-to-point microwave and a fiber microwave backhaul, which makes the system work simultaneously. We do not align with cellular entities, AT&T, or any carrier of cellular. It's only for first responder communications, period. So who uses the system? Currently, there are about 16,000 plus users on the system. State agencies like ourselves, Department of Transportation, the State Police, Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, Rhode Island Department of Health, RIPTA, local fire departments, full-time or part-time, whether or not they are volunteer as well, and also for mutual aid. Local police departments, full-time, some are part-time, but also use the system for mutual aid. Local emergency managers use it. All the city and town emergency managers, it's a direct link to the State Emergency Operations Center. Local DPWs use it, and a number of federal agencies, the Coast Guard, the National Guard, FEMA, the Air National Guard, and others. There are some non-governmental organizations that use it for disaster response, for sheltering, healthcare services, like the Red Cross and hospitals all have and ride the RISCON system. So it was built out in the early 2000s. Once it was enacted into law, we started to do an upgrade into the system, which were to support some of the tower sites, rebanded because of FCC regulations. That was phase one. Phase two, we started to complete all the microwave connectivity around the state. And we've recently built out several new towers. We did Charleston not too long ago during COVID. We're working with Foster now to build one. We just poured the foundation. We just finished North Smithfield. And now we're looking to fill some communication gaps and radio coverage here in the East Bay. So Warren is an important site, and there is some communication gap, which leads us to the request we have to put a communications tower here at 47 Ridgeway Drive. It's part of one of the 6 critical tower sites we would have that would support the East Bay zone.
What we look for from the towns when we do these things is access to the property, which we have DOT now in an agreement with them to let us have part of their property and then work with the town on any permitting that's required. So what does it look like, a first responder communication site? This communication site would fill in all the gaps in coverage that you have here and with all the surrounding communities around here. In fact, I just talked to Chief Lynch, the police chief over in Bristol, very recently, 110% behind what we're doing here, what we hope to do here with your approval. So it will enhance the communication in the East Zone, and it also will accommodate any fire department or police department antennas that we would put on our tower at no cost to the city. The next page is a graphic of what the tower site looks like. It's a 120-foot tower. It's got a microwave on top. It has a lightning rod on top, but it's all surrounded by a chain link fence. And there's a shelter in there that has racks for storage for computer racks, and there's a 35 kW generator that powers up the system in the event the power goes out. So who benefits from a Riscon site in Warren? All of the entities that are listed here: Warren Police and Fire, Bristol Police and Fire, Barrington Police and Fire, Rhode Island EMA, RIDOT, DEM, the State Police, RIPTA, and the Coast Guard all benefit from having that site put in your town. So what we plan to do with the town's permission, if it was so granted, is an erect 120-foot lattice tower, generator, and communication shelter, connect the site with fiber with a plan to add the microwave in the future. There's absolutely no cost to the community, zero. And we have no cellular equipment on the tower. So the end result would be the 120-foot tower that can hold all the town and state equipment and redundant microwave connection. That was a pretty quick presentation, but we are happy to take questions. I have Tom Guthlein's the deputy director behind me. Mr. Gil Woodside's our ops support chief, and Mr. Danny Vieira is our communications.
I have my questions for the solicitor. Anthony, what action, if any, are we required to take on this?
You don't, but they're gonna have to go to the zoning board to get approval for the tower.
Okay.
And, you know, under the Federal Telecommunications Act, 1996, there's a specific scheme that needs to be shown zoning board approval.
Yeah.
You hit most of the topics, but basically, town approval for this will be had through the zoning board.
Okay. Councilman
Do
DePasqua.
you think it'd be possible to relocate what this tower is used for to that tower? In other words, I'd love to get rid of this tower that's uptown.
You want to get rid of that tower right
Yeah.
there? I don't know. I don't know what's on that tower.
I don't either.
Police and fire, right?
I believe it's police and fire, yeah.
Police and fire.
Could you look into that?
Absolutely.
That'd be a topic for the zoning board.
You know how tall this tower is? We'll give it to you.
I don't know, sir.
Serious.
Yeah.
The
tower right here.
The tower's over 50 years old. It's an antique.
All right, well, that's why I
I
want to
mean,
get
we
rid
can
of
take
it.
it down. Do we need historic approval?
I'm serious about what I'm talking about. It brings a chuckle, but
It's a great idea.
it's,
Yeah.
it's older, it's here, it's,
I think that site is on
nice
a higher
to-
elevation up there on Ridgeway.
yeah,
is a
so if
higher
we could look
elevation.
into that, if you need help from us, I'm sure the chiefs can get you the information on what we know of it and what's used. I believe it's state police.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you saying to substitute what we're proposing to use?
No, I think
No,
what
I
he's
wanna
saying
get
is
rid of
If
this.
we move our equipment to that tower,
Yeah.
can we get rid of this one? That's his question.
I think we would have to look into that and get
Please.
back to you.
I
Absolutely.
mean, I'm sure it would take, reconnection.
If we can move
The
that to the
wire.
tower we're proposing, I'll take that down for you.
Okay,
Nice.
you got a deal.
Good.
Permission contingent on that deal.
My deputy direction is cringing behind me.
No.
Any other
No, if you
questions?
can- Yeah, if you can help us with that, that'd be great.
So the biggest question with this tower is we can't find the owner. Like, we don't know if the town owns it or if the communication cell net company that put it up there. We can't find an owner of the tower.
This tower next door?
The one one right here. And until then, we can't legally.
We'll
can't-
find that out, because
Yes.
if that's the case, it's trespassing, and
That's
the owner will be, somebody will be cited, and if they don't answer.
If
then
the
fine.
town doesn't own it, are they paying taxes on it?
Well, let's look into it on a further date, but I would
Yeah.
love to get rid of that thing.
Okay, all right, great. So the solicitor's gonna chase down the owner. And if you can help us out by getting rid of this one and consolidating it up there, that would be great.
Absolutely, sir.
All right.
And you know, the next step is now you make application before zoning. I think they're 45 days out, so.
Yeah, if I could work with the town manager, that would be great on the next steps on how to
And
go
they'll-
about that. I mean,
That hearing will have all sorts of questions on the safety and everything else. I don't need.
yeah, so every city and town is different. We've done this, like I said, around the state. So whatever your process is, we'll go along with that.
I was sitting on zoning when they put the one out and twist it, and there was a lot of questions about when if it collapses and.
Yeah.
The engineering design, I'm familiar with it, but you can explain it to the public.
Right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Anything else? Good?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time.
we appreciate it. Thanks, Mark.
The assistant, do you need a motion to
No, he
move
said
this
we don't need
along?
any action.
No, it's a presentation.
All right,
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you
Mark.
very much for your
Good
time.
seeing you.
all right,
Yeah.
remember our deal.
That's what I just connected with you on LinkedIn, so I'll be bothering.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have interviews for several committees. First one is we have.
Your phone, somebody's phone's on the bench.
Mark, I think your phone's on the bench. Yeah,
We have one position for the budget committee. We have no applicants. We have one position for the economic development board with no applicants. We have one position on the juvenile hearing board with no applicants. We have one position on the Rhode Island 250th Commission.
4 positions.
4 positions with no applicants. We have one position on the Warren Arts and Cultural Commission with no applicants. And before I get to the one, we do have an applicant. If there's anybody out there, either in the audience or watching on TV, please, if you have some time, you can help the town out. You can volunteer to sit on one of these boards or commissions. It would be a great help to the town. You'd be a great asset, and we need all the help we can get. That's the more people that take place in this, the better this town runs. Okay, now we do have one position available for the zoning board of review, and we have one applicant, Bert Rodriguez. Is Mr. Rodriguez here? Please come forward. Give us a little rundown on yourself and your interest in the board, please.
So a 14-year resident, town of Bristol. Both my children, one of my children go to school here. My other son goes to St. Luke's. I'm currently employed with the town of Bristol in the civilian division with the police department.
Did you say
You
you
live
live
in
in
Warren?
Bristol? You said
I'm
you
sorry,
live-
Warren, sorry.
Okay, I was gonna
Working
say
in
resident of the
Bristol.
town of Bristol. I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
say-
know, sorry. So I'm a employee with the town.
It's Highview Ave.
Excuse me?
Highview Ave?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So worked for the town of Bristol, been there for coming on 20 years now. As a dispatcher in the civilian division. Now I'm a clerk, working prosecution, was recently assigned to accreditation where it's a very tough task. Involves a lot of
Congratulations.
detail. Well, I don't know if it's congratulations, it's more of a curse, but we're on TV, I gotta be careful. But I was informed that the zoning board needed somebody, that nobody stepped forward. Something I took interest in, considering that I also have a license in real estate. Been doing that for about 4 years now. Here I am.
Questions from the council?
Sure. Hi,
Hi.
welcome. I am one to ask if you've ever attended or watched a zoning board meeting to be familiar with how that board works
One time,
one time. Okay. Are you aware that there is mandatory training required?
yes.
Okay, that's good. Any other questions from the council?
You go ahead.
We go down there.
Yeah, well, I'll be last.
A question always comes up is, do you have the time to commit
I do.
to this?
I do. I work days now, so I'm not on second shift, third shift anymore. Work 7 to 3, Monday through Fridays, weekends, holidays off, so I do have the time.
Thank you.
Councilman Deepak Paul.
There's a learning curve. From your resume, it shows that you put the time in on what you do, and you know, you learn what you need to do and hopefully you do a good job. I have no problem.
Vice
Good to
President?
see you.
You too.
Full disclosure, Brett and I did work together, and Brett did work as my communications when I was in charge of the Lake Patrol. Thank you for having an interest. The zoning board meeting that you went to, I was actually the chairman of the zoning board at that time, because there was an issue in your neighborhood that you came up. So, if nobody else, I would like to move a motion to appoint Mr. Rodriguez to the zoning board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Good luck.
opposed. And I think one of your first hearings is gonna be about a tower.
You'll have a tower probably.
I
Yeah,
heard.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Well,
very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, next we have the minutes. First, we have the July 9th regular scheduled meeting minutes. Any notes, questions, concerns, changes?
Have none.
I didn't see anything. Motion approved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next we have the July 15th, the special town council meeting.
I didn't see anything there either. Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next we have the consent agenda. There are two of these items that were withdrawn, so I believe we only have P1 now. And that's would be the request for the vitrilling license for small town sourdough, 691 Main Street. We want to just pass the consent agenda. We just
Motion approved.
P2
Second.
and P3 are withdrawn. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have ordinance. Buildings and design regulations. This is the new housing code. This is the second reading. We heard this last month. Tony?
There's been no changes from the first to the second reading. There was some questions about it I thought were answered at the last month's meeting. I asked you pass it. It'll be another tool in the toolbox for affordable housing in the town.
Mr. Bolster, would you like to speak to this or?
Hi, Tony. Good evening, members of the board. I just had one question. The original recommendation was to have 7 members, and at some point it was shortened to 5. I was just curious if there was any specific reason for that, or I think the more hands we have, the better for this type of project. It's a big undertaking, and answer that. I don't know.
That actually came from me.
Okay.
And I don't have a dog in the fight, but the reason it was reduced is because we have enough troubles with
Getting
other
quorum.
committees getting people.
I figured that was
Getting
gonna be
quorum.
the sort of response, but I think there's enough interest to
We can, Davidson, we can always expand the membership if we get enough members
fair enough.
and we see enough interest in it. I think we
Okay.
could expand it, but if we start you at 7 and you only get 3 people showing up, you
Yeah.
can't really even have your meeting.
Yeah.
So this might be the safe way to go.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Any questions from the council?
No,
No.
explains that.
No? Could I have a motion?
Motion to.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass the second reading of the buildings and building regulation. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we have, hang on, moving along. We have P2. This is a request for a Class F beverage license from the Guild on Water Street on September 7th from 11 to 3 p.m. And this will be at Ferrick's Farm. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this application? Please come forward.
Happy summer, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, so as part of our, I'm sorry, Jeremy Duffy from the Guild, Warren, as part of our Pints with Purpose program that we have that supports local charities, community charities that we support. Thrive Outside is an organization that we've been involved with for a little bit. They are now going to be hosting an event that they would like us to be there to pour and sell beverages with us giving money back to the organization. It's a great organization, really promotes outdoor learning for children through working with teachers and schools and other community centers to activate more outdoor learning. Love the program, want to be supportive, and they asked us to participate, and that's why I'm here.
Great. I know if we give approval here, it's always tentative on approval from the 2 police chiefs. Anthony?
Just The liability.
Excuse me, the police chief and the fire chief. I said the
Liability
police chiefs.
Could Mr. Duffy explain what the mud component of this thing is?
You know, I would like to go into deeper detail, but I don't want to play in the gray lines with you in the grays. It's an activity. It's sort of like it's a combination of like, you know, the mudder races that you kind of go through obstacle courses and there's mud involved. They've added actually a component that has puzzles and quizzes and all this. This is only for the kids. There's no, we have to be halfway through and drink a beer and then keep on going.
That's not fair. I want to do this.
So is this,
This would be like a beer garden portion of it.
yeah, that's what I'm
We have
curious
Dell's
about.
is going to be there, Granny Squib's going to be there. So we'll be part of the after activities.
Duffy, so we get-
I'm interested for.
That would be worth a picture in the Times.
So this is for adults.
It's for families, but the activities are just for the kids. Just for the kids.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Enjoy.
Good luck.
If I'm in
Terrific.
town, I'm coming.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Good
Appreciate your
deal.
time.
Next, we have a request for did we make that motion contingent upon police and fire
You did,
approvals?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're all set. Just when you, they'll work, just get with them and they'll,
Contact the police
Yeah.
chief and the fire chief before your event. And they will tell you if everything's all set. Probably closer towards your setup or if you have a plan.
great. Okay, next we have P3. This is a request for a one-day entertainment license from Fred Cheatham, 464 Main Street. This is for the little alley between the Tavares Building and 464 Main Street. I'm gonna refer to it as the Warren House of Pizza area. Please come forward.
Good evening, members.
Good evening.
I'm Fred. I've been up here a couple
Yes.
times over the years.
See you again.
Sorry. Oh, there you are.
Hi, I'm Michelle. We
Hi.
co-own 1001 Troubles, the former Warren House of Pizza area.
So, the tattoo shop. I just want to say that, first of all, we're so proud to be a part of this town for the past 10 years. And we're planning on hosting a party on the property on September 22nd. And what we would like to ask permission is for an entertainment license just for the day. We're planning on having it between 12 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Your application says 4, so you're looking from 12 to 5?
Oh, okay.
I just want to make sure what we pass is what you're looking for.
Yeah, I would like that to be 5 o'clock if that's possible. But this is something that we would like to involve some of the local businesses too, and we'd like to defer to you guys. I'm not sure if we need this. Yeah, it's like a glorified alleyway. I suppose,
Yeah, we,
easement.
we discussed this at the department head meeting, and it's not town owned, so you don't need anything from us. All you need is the license.
Okay.
It's up to, as long as you got the property owner's permission, you
Yeah,
don't need,
you're-
you don't need anything from us, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
Any questions from the council?
Just make sure the
Motion,
driveway is
motion.
blocked off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Make sure the driveway is blocked off, obviously.
Okay. all right.
So just to be clear, that's something that like we will do or the owner will do, and it's not related to police.
Correct.
Correct.
All right, you're hearing different things, and now we know.
Yeah, motion to approve.
Okay.
I think it would probably help you if you checked in with
Yeah,
these guys.
touch base.
We
with-
did.
They have
Of course.
experience and they can walk you through what you need
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, we wanted to do a raffle anyway, so we'll be in contact with the police department.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Greg.
Enjoy
For
the
being here.
Okay, now we have P4. This is request for a tattoo license from Salia Tattoo Studio, and it's for Talia Samoa. Is Talia here? No, Anthony, is it required that the person attend these meetings?
It's not,
Okay.
and unlike, tattoo, so-called tattoo parlor, it's not that process. But, one thing that is required is that the chief of police has to attest, by ordinance, to the good moral character of the applicant.
Okay.
As well, they have to be permitted to perform the act of tattooing.
Correct, because it's a two-step process,
Yeah.
you need to state approval for it too,
Yeah,
but there is this local component that, kind of is like a morals clause.
I'll make the motion contingent on the background check.
So I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have P5. This is a request for a mobile food establishment from The Box, East Bay 2. Is Matthew King here?
Come on up.
Hello,
Good
Matthew.
evening.
Good evening.
man.
My name's Matthew King. I live at 75 Child Street. I'm the current owner of the Box East Bay and have one MFE within the town. And this is a request for a second MFE for a trailer that will ostensibly be located permanently, albeit mobily, at 747 Main Street, which is our new project on Main Street.
That's right next to the new ice cream place. I believe.
It is.
Yes, it is. It is.
Scary, the
It is
building.
ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
You've
right.
heard of that as the point?
The point,
The
that's
point.
correct.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's a
segment.
good.
I live there. I call it the hood.
Okay, we'll defer though to the current
Yeah,
owner.
no, the project's coming along well.
Yeah, it is nice. Yep. I
Yeah,
like-
we're open at Tizzy K's now. We just got our health permit approval on Thursday last week, and we're just gonna finalize the victualling check off this week so we can have other trucks on the property.
Great.
And get it going.
Motion to approve contingent all the permitting processes complete.
Yes. No,
Okay, would you have permission from, Dizzy K's to be there?
no, I'm the landlord in this case with Tizzy K's. I have
TZK.
I have a lease with the property owner.
Use the property up, that was
That's
my
correct.
question. What that means in legal terms is he has site control of the property.
Okay.
You know that with your ordinance says MFEs can't be located within.
Well, 100
Yeah.
feet or 200 feet,
businesses.
yeah.
In this instance, however, because part of a larger plan, it's his property, he can do this.
Okay, great.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask what you've done? I didn't look, but those stairs going out of the bike path, you've closed that off?
That's been closed off.
Good, thank you.
As we talked about last year or the year before. And it will be that way until we come to some sort of resolution. My goal is to try to open it up,
Well,
but
it
I
would be-
believe it's gonna
yeah, I
take,
think so.
it's gonna take an effort from the state as well as the town, as well as my pocketbook. So all those things have to come together.
My logic wasn't to actually like refuse something. It was just to let you know that I know that there was an issue there in the past with the
Yeah.
previous people who rented that.
Well, if they tried to navigate it now, it would be a bigger issue as well. So,
Right. But
yeah, it's gated off and it's locked right now.
good, thank you. I mean, this is for your benefit. 'Cause
Yeah,
that was a gray area.
thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Did we get a second yet?
No,
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
good luck, good
Have
luck.
a Good evening.
Great,
Appreciate
good
it.
job. Thank you.
Okay, next we're on correspondence. Is there anything anyone would like to pull?
I didn't see anything. So C5 is the final grant that we were looking for. Is that? It's for Jamie's Park, correct? Which is actually a big deal, right? I mean, sure, pull it, pull C5.
Okay, we're gonna pull C5 and I believe, Herb, do you have any updates on this for us, please?
So just in general, as you may recall, we got 400, this is the Jamie Mills Park Phase 3, the final phase for Jamie Mills Park. We received a grant award for $400,000 from SNEP. We've received $1.25 million from the Infrastructure Bank Municipal Resilience Program. And this is the final leg of the financial stool, $350,000 from the Narragansett Bay Water Fund. The SNEP and the REAP grants require a match. I was able to successfully get this grant where no match is required. But they all mutually leverage each other for those that require a local match. And we're just awaiting some agreement language between the Infrastructure Bank as approved by the town solicitor to be able to initiate the pre-construction aspect of things, which would get us all the way through the permitting, final design, and bid documents. Then we'll be able to go out to bid and see what comes back for costs, and then we can compare and contrast as to whether we need to throw out bids or seek something else.
Anthony?
These are all reimbursement grants. And of course, that's an issue for the town right now. What Herb's managed to do, which I'm very surprised but delighted about, is for the pre-construction, the grant would not go through the town, it'd be paid directly. What we're waiting for is a commitment from the infrastructure bank that by doing this, the town will not be obligated in the future with these grants to follow through if the money's not there for the reimbursement grants. So once that comes through, then we will be able to go forward with the pre-construction, and we'll go from there. But all of these grants have been, accomplished, and the first part is the key for me, that pre-construction goes directly to the vendors instead of going through the town at all. So that's actually a major accomplishment. We're waiting for one last piece. Once that comes in, good to go.
Thank you.
I have an informational question.
Sure.
Herb, is this going to clean up the property like directly behind the animal shelter?
Yes, so basically, we're gonna be capping off the former landfill there, including, as you may, if you've walked around there or boated or what have you, there's part of the former landfill is
Gonna be going there.
extruding its way through there. So it's gonna go all the way through there. There's gonna be some shoreland restoration, public access to the water area. So the idea is to basically have some cleanup in that.
So it's like if you walk behind the animal shelter east,
area.
to that whole block.
Yep, yes, sir.
That's a great view up there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool. Thank you.
Great job, thank you.
Okay. Moving along, we're on to old business. We have OB1. This is the discussion and action regarding the flashing light at Main and Market. Town manager?
Yeah, Mr. President and members of the council, on July 30th, we met with members of the Rhode Island DOT. Councilman Hackett and Councilwoman Cronin were there in attendance, and part of the presentation was an email from Mr. Sean Raymond, who is a member of the state, I believe it's the Traffic Safety Commission. And he did some bullet points for us concerning the request at Market and Miller and Main Street. And that is his email that was sent here. Would you like me to read the bullet points, Mr. President, or?
I think we've all gotten a letter. Does anybody have any questions about their answers? So this was your agenda item, so.
Well,
I'm gonna defer to you.
I don't consider myself a traffic engineer I'm not a traffic engineer. My hope and desire of continuously hammering on this issue was that the powers that be look at that area and hopefully bring us some relief with a better setup. So thank you. And obviously this isn't over.
No, and at the meeting, I think at the meeting, they acknowledged that there is an issue there.
It's
Mr.
acknowledged,
Walsh.
it's acknowledged right here on the last bullet point where it says, this is a very congested area regardless of any signal timing changes. It will operate over capacity due to sheer volume and may result in little improvement without a robust change. So they're acknowledging it's a mess. It won't be fixed unless something major is changed. And I think we impressed that upon them in the meeting. And I know that you had not received follow-up from them. You sent them along the questions that I had as follow-up.
That is correct.
I saw I saw Pam Cotter subsequently and reminded her that we have follow-up questions. So this just can't be let to sort of be a thing that happened with no really meaningful change, because we have had reports done and suggestions made that the traffic flow be taken one way on Child and one way on Market, and that would maybe address the issues of the traffic light there, moving of a crosswalk. So there's a lot of questions that were brought forward in that meeting that hopefully we're going to have some really meaningful and, yeah, some answers to, or at least some professional opinions on.
They do mention under considerations, the long-term review restricting movements at the signal to eliminate a phase and conflict points. Maybe make Miller a one-way away from the signal. So they're saying long-term, they're gonna look back at this, but I guess what's the long-term? I think that's where we're all like, not a bit, is can we keep this on the radar instead of letting it just go, down the road again?
Sure. Understood.
And ask him if they paint do not block versus block not do.
It's under considerations, actually.
No, the actual writing, only on the roads do we read from the bottom up. In this country, we read from the top down. Looking at block not do is stupid. Do not block.
It's traffic engineers have a reason for everything.
They don't have a reason for bad grammar. I
Okay.
think you'd be on that. I mean, for me to notice, it's bad.
You can't really,
I'm still learning English.
can't really take any action on that, so let's
If I may just,
certainly.
because this is on our radar also with, they have agreed to do a project on Child Street at the Long Lane Turf. They're gonna do some median strip, to slow the traffic down. Maybe they could loop in that project with this project, at the very least of painting on the road, do not block the lots.
Sure.
If you could track that, but that's coming up in 25.
Yes, that
That's
was,
coming up in 25.
yeah, that was discussed at our meeting as well.
Thank you, Mr.
Bet you thought I
Sullivan.
forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, so
OB2, we have an update on the North Pump Station.
So I did speak with, Mr. DuPont from the, is that how you spell, say his name? DuPont, sorry. And he acknowledged that there was an issue with the glue or somehow the adhesive that was there. He informed me that he's having someone come down to take a look at it this week and come up with a solution to the problem to that facade.
Good.
So.
Good. Okay, OB3. Discussion and action regarding contract for temporary employees. This ties back to last month's meeting with the financial, not advised, the financial workers that Councilman T. Pasquale brought up, and that we did approve a hire. The contract I did sign because we did approve it last month.
So what happened was I reached out to the state MPA, got some information about the state MPA, and had discussion with two companies that provide these services. One company responded back with proposal, and the second company never responded back at all. The company that is called Clifton Larson and Allen, they have proposed that they will come in and assist with the completion of bank reconciliations, adjusting journal entries, assisting with audit readiness, and anything else that we may come up with when we meet with them. We are scheduled to meet with them tomorrow here in the finance department, go over these items. The gentleman that is going to be coming here actually did an audit for the town of Warren several years ago, so he is a little bit familiar with our accounting system that we have. So he will be here tomorrow.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. This is discussion and action regarding the contract with Woodward and Curran. Those are the data service, basic subscription contracts for on-call engineering, on-call proposal, operation, primary sludge tank replacement authorization, proceed with hot engineering. Verb.
A lot going on here, but we're trying to get a bunch of things done at the same time frame. To help me with any presentation on your part, especially if it's technically based, I have John Himlin here from Woodward and Curran in the blue shirt back there. So he can, again, he can speak to a number of the particular issues and clarify a lot of the issues. Keep in mind that I'm still chewing on wastewater issues since Kate left. I ended up getting tag teamed into it. And unfortunately, the new town manager is unwilling to let me tag team it back to the town manager's office. So smart by the new town manager. But anyway, I'm still in a learning phase from that standpoint. The things that I want to take you through tonight are three basic things. One is the SCADA basic subscription, which is the digital computer system that keeps the wastewater system monitored and allows the team to access it remotely in case something needs to be changed with regard to control. So it's a controller. The second part of this are a number of contracts that we typically have. One is our basic on-call engineering services contract with Woodard and Curran. The other is on-call proposed development. So as I get a development in the door from that standpoint, and I need insight in terms of the impact on the wastewater system, this is what we call our peer reviews. Those are handled basically with the fees that are paid by the applicant. So essentially it's a no cost to the town, not even a reimbursement type of situation. But again, there's language with regard to those contracts. We also have an operations process support proposal, which is another contract that we've had with Woodard and Curran, and basically it's getting time to get some authorization to renew that continuing support services. And then lastly, we want to, of course, talk about the primary sludge tank rail replacement and keep that moving along because of the emergency situation that we're in. So as we move forward, I'll need, if you choose to, 5 separate motions when we get to the particular things. The first thing is the SCADA service basic subscription. This is something that typically has been paid for in the past through our regular wastewater operations. Honestly, as I'm standing here, I can't tell you specifically which number, but I can tell you that we have paid for this through our regular, budget for the approved budget for wastewater. The part that you see in the handout where it gets boiling right down to the cost, there's basically a $3,600 annual subscription fee.
Page 3, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, yes. There's a time and materials budget of 17,000 that is allocated for that. And then if there are any software renewals as may be applicable, that can be upwards of almost $11,000. So basically the annual service budget is upwards of $31,450 with not necessarily all of the renewals required. I can't stand here and answer what renewals may be needed and stuff. That's something that John may be able to answer, or as the software is upgraded, he would be able to differentiate what we needed versus what we don't need at the wastewater facility.
John, can I answer?
Yeah, well, my first question is, and I think you kind of hinted at it, Herbert. We do have this budgeted in the 24-25 budget.
The way I will answer this, because I don't have a full picture for you, is that this has been paid for in past budgets on a regular basis. What I can't give you an answer to is the makeup of the wastewater budget. Whenever, as I've gone back through past years, I've tried to find specifically the justification, the buildup of what goes in a particular line item. That is unavailable as far as I can tell. If any of you have a past budget that shows those things, I would welcome that, even from past years. So when I'm working with the town manager and the wastewater operator, H2O Solutions, I can help put a better budget together, I believe, with the foundation pieces behind the total.
Right.
You've only received totals over the years, but I can say from doing research in the accounting system that we have paid for it on a regular basis through the basically one of the operational line items.
One of the budget items that has been grouped. So if you remember at that other meeting, we spoke about
Yes.
what you're talking about doing right now, what needs to be done is we can't just have a giant chunk. So thank you. And I believe that's the answer to your question. This is maybe if you look at checks payable in the past, maybe, I mean, that's just gonna show.
Where it came out.
But it came out, it probably came out of the chunk,
Right.
Operating expenses.
you know, so,
Yeah, I can find the payment, so that's, I can justify that it has been done.
correct.
What I can't find is that when you prepare your budgets, what are the individual subline items, if you will, behind the master line
I
items?
don't know if there should be a separate line item, this should fall under operating, I don't know, you guys will have to, all get together on that, but it shouldn't just be in a chunk.
Right.
So my other question, for Mr. Himlin, when was the last time somebody had to have software, renewals?
So this line item, 10,850 is what the town would be for software renewals this coming year.
So it's the asterisk, I was hoping, so we need this already, so it's 31,000. Great.
Correct. The 17,000, yes, that's correct. So if I can list the softwares, but they're needed. They're for the controls.
I think I wasn't sure if we were talking about, you know, down the road, it's
yeah.
gonna, you know, probably be upgrades right off the bat.
Well, yeah, because
All right.
the if applicable is what confuses you. It's like.
Always, right? So
Maybe,
it's,
maybe
you know,
not.
All right, well,
All right, so the total is
that was my question there.
31,450.
So you want this all in motions?
Any other questions from the council?
No,
No,
Mr. DeSisto, would it behoove me to make a motion contingent upon finding where this will come from? The funding? I mean, even though there's that chunk, do we wanna just really, you know,
My
Caution.
recommendation would be to approve, subject to the appropriate, revenues, let's say.
I mean, it should all be there, but
I'm
we,
taking a look at the budget now. And I don't think there's a separate
seven-
line item for this, outside the budget line items.
Right.
As long as the money is there. go
so
forward.
subject to identifying funding, yeah.
so moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Stay right here, because I know they're gonna have questions. So the next thing on the agenda is renew our on-call engineering services contract. And I think what I'm just gonna do, since John is now here, is just let him generally describe what this aspect is. And then hopefully, you folks will make a motion for it.
Okay, so the on-call engineering services contract, there's no dollar value with that. That's basically the contract that underlies as project needs come up. We use work orders that describe the scope and budget for those. So this first line item is really just approval to have that contract in place. There's no dollar value associated with it. It describes, yes, sure.
I think I can shorten. This is a renewal with the initial contract for these on-call services that was executed by the town council in 2011. This is an update. And the update is for the fees, so I think it's best just to say these are the same services that Woodard and Thorne has been supplying the town for over 10 years now.
Yep.
And secondly, if you could go with the fee schedule, I think that's the intent of the council. No, all the other terms and conditions of this contract, the changes to the money. Correct.
Yes, it's a rate-based, that's how so the rates have increased over the years.
Yeah.
So that's the update.
So this is pretty much the same contract, just with, on page 3 with the hourly rate upgrade.
Correct, yeah. And in fact, this states that. It's a reference back to the
Yep.
original agreement.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
No. From
I
me.
mean,
I
right,
mean,
this
is-
doesn't, this vote does not expend any money. It just says if we need them,
This
this
is
is
what
what
we
we're gonna
need,
pay
this is
them.
what we're gonna pay.
So just so I can clarify, I'm speaking just to that first bullet point,
What
which
are you
is the,
looking at when you say it for the?
so the new business, under B, contracts, there's a first bullet under B that says renew on-call.
We're
Correct.
talking about the agenda.
So that's what we were just talking about. There's
Yep.
four bullets that
Yep.
I can speak to.
Yep.
So the second bullet,
Well, we're gonna, that's a separate contract.
Okay.
Yeah,
Get
that's
this
okay.
one- Let's get this one done.
So
first.
motion to approve the on-call engineering services contract with the 2024 rate schedule.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're gonna go to on-call proposed peer review.
Similarly, this is just a it's basically the contract language that we use for when there is a peer review. When I need John to help in reviewing developments on wastewater, the town and Woodard and Curran use this format to authorize that. The money so again, there's no money transfer with regard to approving this language. But just so you know, and there was a couple examples in there as a, for instance, for you to look at, when there is a development proposal, I'll ask John for him to provide me an estimate. That estimate will then be given to the applicant who has to pay effectively in escrow a check for that amount. When John does his review, if that amount that for his work is less than that amount, we'll basically cash the check, do the amount that we need, and return to the applicant the remaining portion. On the other hand, if the work takes longer or more time, more materials with regard to it, the applicant is still responsible for the net cost increase from based on what the estimate was. So in all instances, the applicant pays for the peer review for the use of Woodard and Curran. So again, the language that we're approving is just the language of the contract, the agreement that would be between the town and Woodard and Curran.
Correct. Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
This
Okay,
one,
moving
now
on to
this
the
one,
operations
yep, sorry.
process support.
Sorry, Mr. President.
No problem.
So this one I'm gonna need help. You could describe that.
Okay, so occasionally, from time to time, the current operations company, H2O Innovations, will ask for our advice on certain process decisions at the wastewater plant, making changes in how certain equipment's running or in advance of a storm, things like that. So we provide advice to them periodically on request. So that's what this support services item is.
This is typically just a renewal as well, that we've already had this contract in the past.
That's my understanding.
Yes, we provided this.
Questions from the council?
Again, it's just ongoing approvals, to keep everything up to date.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
essentially, right?
Yeah, it's just another renewing the existing contract for this.
Motion to approve the operations.
We have a
Support services.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Lastly, to revisit the rail discussion, as you may recall, back in November, the staff approached you with regard to the emergency situation with regard to the rail replacement. Prior to the knowledge of the injury settlement, you approved ARPA funds of, it was like 625,000 or something like that, to do this. Once we had the injury settlement, we revisited the topic and you authorized Hart Engineering to do the measurements and to order the parts. It's taken a while because of the back order on things. We have received the parts based on the measurements that Hart Engineering did, and that was a total of about $45,000. What we're now in a situation, from our standpoint, we're still in an emergency situation. We would like to move forward with the work in authorizing Hart Engineering to do the installation of the equipment. To indicate the level of emergency is still there. One, it obviously takes the parts, it took months to get here, but we also are in a situation where there are safety concerns where our contractors have to enter those confined spaces and basically are putting themselves in potential harm's way with regard to, again, safety issues, risk management issues. So from that standpoint, we believe that still constitutes an emergency, and we would like the authorization to proceed with your approval for that emergency work.
Motion to approve the authorization to install the sludge tank rail system by Hart Engineering.
With ARPA funds.
Yeah, we already have that
You
previously.
heard the,
In an emergency basis.
I remember, because we did approve this and then we froze the capital spending. But I thought I heard that the price was not gonna be at the full 650. I thought we heard that maybe a little less than that.
Correct, and anything, we will only pay
Up
Hart
maximum-
Engineering up to
maximum
level, correct.
650,000.
It's the original motion was a not to exceed amount.
Okay.
So what's the possibility?
I have heard that it would be somewhat less, but I will make no promises standing here tonight.
I'm not asking for
I-
promise. I mean,
I,
what did you hear?
I have heard that it's a couple tens of thousands underneath, so.
I'm trying to find
Like,
250,000.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, I thought it was more than that, but I mean,
I wanna
this has
replace
gotta be,
that,
but
this
I
has gotta be
software.
done.
Eric's on vacation, so
I'm not holding you to it. I'm just.
I'm just, I want to answer you.
Trying to think if I'm
as well as I
wishful
can.
thinking, that's all.
Right, but I'm, as you can well understand, I'm cautious about giving.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I understand.
Up to 625,000, correct? Joe?
Yes.
Okay, and actually, before I even ask for a second, my other question is the money we've already expended, that should come out of this number too. Well, you wouldn't really know that, but. So in other words, we gave 18 to order the parts and then 45 for engineering, so that should all,
It's all
that
coming
should
out
all
of
be
this
coming out of that.
amount.
already.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the town manager.
Now we have something else.
Oh, sorry,
We're close.
sorry, Steve.
No, it's okay.
NB2, discussion and action regarding the process of trash pickup. This was requested to be on the agenda by Vice President Calendar. I will give him the floor.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. So if the members recall, about a year ago, we had a trash schedule change throughout the town where they were going to move some of the days, and this was to alleviate the trash barrels being on the streets during the business weekends, and it was all agreed upon unanimously by the council that we were going to move. Throughout the past several months, it appears that Fridays have become a little bit of a challenge for Mega. Friday, I've had numerous conversations with the Public Works Director. Mr. Whaler has been fabulous. Friday can be a light day, but when there's recyclables that there is this week, they can get a little jammed up. And several times I've noticed that Mega has been coming into town way prior to 7 o'clock, into the neighborhoods at about 6:30. So I contacted the solicitor, I contacted the council president. I was like, is it necessary for us to bring Mega in for a show cause hearing because they're continually violating our ordinance? And going back to the Public Works Director, he feels confident that the communication is getting through, but it may be falling before the wrong people. And there is somebody that we just talked about today that Mega has brought in that this may be alleviated. It's also dealing with Kickamewett Village, which Kickamewett Village should have been moved to Friday, but they stayed on the Thursday cycle. And a conversation between Mr. Abruzzi, our Public Works Director, and our former town manager, they agreed that that would be okay because it would be an undue burden if they had it picked up on Friday and trash went to Saturday, because they would have some overtime cost involved with having to call people in. I understand that. I did reach out to Mr. Abruzzi. We kind of missed each other. We did do some communication. The town has an agreement that dates back to 1967. Yes. Where the town is agreed to pick up the trash, do some snow plowing, and in lieu of them not paying taxes, they pay us a certain amount of monies. And when I talked to the manager, he was like, so that's where that money comes from in the budget, because it really didn't have an explanation. My recommendation, in my opinion, that if Kickamewett Village can be still on Friday, then that's fine. But if they have to be moved, Thursday, then that's fine. But if they have to be moved to accommodate the Mega who's doing our trash pickup, to move to be Friday, then, Kickamewett Village is going to have to figure out if they have to bring somebody in. What was brought to my attention is that there are 75 barrels that are picked up at Kickamewett Village. So that's the equivalent of a small subdivision. And if it's causing a chain reaction, then the terms of the agreement need to be revisited. And
With who, Mega or?
no, with Kickamewett Village, with Kickamewett Village.
That's causing the problem, essentially.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to put it like that.
no,
But
look,
that's,
it's what I've concluded. Mr. Wheeler and I we're landing on the same spot. It's that Kickapoo Village, and I really did want to get some input from Mr. Abruzzi. It's just we kind of missed each other. I understand, and of course, a cost factor because if we have inclement weather, if we have a holiday, Mega is moved to Friday, they pick up on Saturday. Sometimes they were picking up on Saturday, not even known to us, just to get the trash picked up. I get it. But at the end of the day, we still have services to provide to the entire community. And we want to have a nice partnership with Mega. I think Mega's been doing a good job. They kind of came into full view probably about 6 years ago. They started with recycle, and then we have outsourced all our trash pickup responsibilities to them. But the terms that are involved, and I know the solicitor and I know the manager also dug down on these terms, but they're so outdated that they should be revisited. And that's basically where I have landed at. I'm probably pump the brakes a little bit. Hopefully Mega doesn't show up in town tomorrow morning at 5:30. I also think that, and I hate to, I don't want to micromanage it. I don't want to have somebody being micromanaged on who's our vendor that we're doing business with, but they know the schedule probably on Monday. And an easy communication from Mega to our public works director could be like, all systems are go. Oh, no, wait a minute, we're going to be delayed. And I mean, we communicate everything via text, email, social media platforms, our own website. It's an easy message to get out. And at least we can tell the public the message has been put out. Right now, we don't know anything until they roll into town, if they're running late or if a truck's broken down. So that's basically the reason why I put this on.
Can I ask a question for clarity? Because I'm confused with this whole thing. So are we saying that the problem isn't with Mega? That the problem is because they're picking up trash at Kickapoo Village? Because I want I'm much more concerned with a positive relationship with Kickapoo Village than I am with someone we pay. So if there's a problem with Mega, we'll just address it.
I would say that it's a combination of things. So Mega we're not having a problem with Mega. They had recent policy changes in their internal.
I forgot to mention that.
Where if you notice, they used to have two people on trucks where they would go around picking up trucks, and one would go across the street, grab the recycling from that side. They're not allowed to do that for safety reasons anymore. So they have started bringing another truck into town, which is starting to cause, they'll start in different directions. People get confused because their trash used to get picked up at 3, now it's getting picked up at 7. So we're working out the kinks with them on how to make that work. With Kickapoo Village, it is adding a lot of barrels, especially on recycling weeks. It's not a bad thing. We enjoy the recycling. It's filling a truck before they can't take that truck and go to another neighborhood. They have to take that truck, go back to the public works and dump. So we're trying to work with Mega, and we did speak with Mega about what would be the best day for them. If it turns out that Friday is the best for them, there is a potential where we could say every Friday, regardless if it's a delayed, so that we aren't maybe we're working with the Kickapoo Village to help them out a little bit. But we've always had some sort of delays, whether it's a truck down or something. So we're trying to work out the process of having better communication when they are having issues.
Still confused.
Well,
Because what I think we need, if I could continue with this thought, is a meeting between Mega, the manager, and Mr. DeSisto. We have a contract.
Well, I mean, my main question to the director is, what have you seen for problems since A, the route change, and B, since Mega's new policy?
They can't get to, on recycling weeks is their biggest challenge. And it's strictly because we have a lot of barrels in town for recycling. And they tend to fall off as we get to the Kickapoo Village timeframe. So
these sound like problems with Mega. So I think we should revisit them. We pay them.
Right.
So if they're unable to do the job, whether they need 2 people or 6 people, that's not our problem.
So if I could just respond back that if we all recall that when the schedule was supposed to be changed, the days were supposed to be changed, there were no exceptions. There was an exception for Kickapoo Village. Now, look, I'm okay with that, all right? Should we have been advised? Probably not, because it was really low-hanging fruit at the time. But now, after a year, it's been a year, I think it was July of last year, now it's July of this year, it appears that when there's recyclable and it's a Friday, things come off the rails. So I agree with.
But this is their problem. We need to hold
Well,
them accountable.
But if it's directed back to Kickapoo Village now, going from Thursday to Friday, because they're on Thursday. It's
Steve, I guess what I'm trying to feel like,
Sure.
I don't feel like we have a unified front in this discussion. I feel our discussion, again, should be with our contractor. They're paid to do a service. They knew about our schedule change. They know about our schedule now. So I mean, like when you say, oh, by Monday, they should know what their schedule is Friday, they should know what they're doing every single day.
I don't disagree.
But Steve, we're paying them almost $500,000. They need to come in and speak with the manager and then give us an update.
So where my
But
point is,
I think our schedule changed mid, and I'm not defending anybody. I'm just trying to figure out if if there is a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and B, what caused it? Did the schedule change cause the problem? Or did the schedule change not cause the problem?
I would say more of the policy of,
and the policy that they lost the truck,
yeah,
So-
which is why we had the conversation with them about adding a truck.
adding another truck.
And that has happened recently,
So
so.
where I'm aligned with you 100%, Joe. And that's why I was like, I'm ready to go full bore, call them in for a show cause hearing and have them come before council. I think the easiest fix would be, or at least the first step in the fix would be manager, you, Mega. Have them.
And
tell-
is the decision.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a contract.
Have them say, hey, this is the days, these are the routes. This is the lightest route, this is the heaviest route. This is where we need to have this.
Right.
Kickapoo Village, be in the route cycle and we'll be all systems go.
Have
Because
you heard any input from them since the route change?
They actually have enjoyed it. They,
Okay.
with them, there was a conversation with where Kicking Village was being put, because they did originally want to see it on Friday. Because it's a pretty busy day on Thursday as already. So, it's the conversation that I think we can have, is what works best for them as well as what works best for us and how we can make this work. And if they need to add more trucks to town, that's part of the problem. Like they know that we talked to them
That's
about it
part of
last week.
their problem.
Yes,
Remember, we're paying.
Oh, I know. But
which is
we're
why they
also-
did recently just start putting
But we
that
also
second
do
truck in town.
receive monies from Kickapoo Village because of the terms of
Correct,
this
that's
agreement.
I'm aware of
Yeah.
that.
Those terms need to be revisited.
Well, did anybody ever find that agreement?
Yes. Yes,
We've
we,
already been in contact with the legal counsel for the Warren Housing Authority. I'd like to follow up with it.
Can you forward that agreement to the council members so we
I
can
can, yeah.
actually put our eyeballs on it? 1960, I don't remember 1967.
1967.
That actually was entered into on April 14th, 1970.
Oh,
With
okay,
the 1967 form.
okay.
And I'll
All right,
send it
so-
out to you just as soon as I figure out how to exactly do that, but I think Jeff, you're gonna have to.
So I think basically what I'm hearing is we should have the manager, the solicitor, and the DPW director sit down with Mega. Figure out what the issue is, why we're having these problems, and what needs to be done by them or us. Whatever needs to be done to kind of ease us back into not having that one bad day a week. Does that sound good?
Correct. And we should put it on the agenda for September. If any actions needed, put it on September.
The manager can report back to us.
Yeah, okay, so we're gonna have that in a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're on to town manager. Brian, we've got a couple of over expenditures here, which is fairly common for the end of the fiscal year. The first one, is the overtime for the,
For
Animal-
animal control, yes, Mr. President. As you can see from the note there, what happened was the assistant animal control officer retired and went to a different job, so we had to have the full-time animal control officer come in and fill those hours, and it's caused a shortage in the animal control officer line item of $662.
any questions?
But there is
No?
there's still money left in the assistant animal control officer's salary line item, which will cover that shortage.
Motion to approve the $662.42 over expenditure, and that's to be paid from the salary account 015600061040.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next.
Next is IT staff. From what I understand, there was a full-time employee up until sometime in January where that person's salary was paid out of the IT staff line item. Once that person was left the service of the town of Warren, a consultant started filling in those hours, and which caused a shortage in the IT staff line of $1,808.
Motion to approve $1,808.50 over expenditure to be offset by the salary account. This manager salary account 015600001010.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Can I have ask a question? So we've used the town manager's salary line to cover a lot of stuff.
There was a large surplus in that salary line item for
It's-
17,000 because of I think of the gap between.
When we had the interim manager, we weren't paying the town manager.
Right. No, I know that. I'm just, so is the 17,388, that's what's left in that?
That's what's left in it right now, yes.
Okay.
And then after tonight, obviously it'll be less than that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The computer service website line item, there's an overage in there of $11,364. From what I can gather, that line item was under budgeted when the budget was put together. Currently, we average about $6,800 a month for Packet Logic, which is our computer IT service people for town hall. And also included in that or taken out of that line item was $3,100 for a contract with the website itself, and also $3,500 for software upgrades for finance, which caused the overage.
All right, motion to approve $11,364.27. And that is an over expenditure in the shared services computer service website account. And that's to be paid for by account 015600001010, the town manager's salary.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next.
The next one is the town planner wages. They've exceeded the budget by $8,372.
Motion to approve $8,373 to be paid for by the Public Works part-time wages account 015500001040.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next is boards and commissions, the planning and zoning board stenographer line item that was overdrawn by $1,096. That was for services for the Liberty Street hearings, which we had a stenographer for and caused a
Motion
shortage.
to approve $1,096 to be offset by the town planner's office expense account 015601120010.
Second.
And the GIS account 015601123360.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just one little note on that. I did discuss with the solicitor the needs for the stenographer at some of these meetings, and he was going to look into that.
For a lawsuit.
Well, we may not, for some of them, we may not need. I mean,
You mean down the road? This is
Correct.
from last year's. budget.
right, yeah, no, I'm saying we may not need one at every meeting. is
Correct.
What I'm saying. The solicitor's gonna look into that and get back to us. Correct. Thank you. Okay, next.
Next is Public Works trash collection, and I'm gonna use the assistance of the Public Works Director for this.
Yep, so we went over 21,252.86. I did a little research on why. So there is a 4% increase in the budget or in the contract for the pickup for trash every year.
What was not ever added into our line items was the fact that there's also an increase should fuel go over a certain dollar amount, which is $3.02. Diesel fuel is regularly over that cost. So that came out to be just around that $20,000 mark. So it had not been ever being put into the budget line item. I did not know this when I created the budget for this year because this line item had primarily been done by the finance office. They had always put it in when requesting the budget as a 4% increase. So going forward, we're gonna have the same shortfall this upcoming year. We now know, so we won't have that issue going forward after that. But it is strictly off of a fuel surcharge that we pay monthly to MEGA as well.
Thank you. Motion to approve $21,253 to be offset by the overtime account 01550001030.
Second.
Thanks. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, you're next.
Next is the finance wages non-union. That line item is overdrawn by $1,485. We believe this due to 3 people being paid out of that line item. Prior finance director, the interim person, and then current finance director.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Motion to approve $1,485 to be offset by the general office expense account 01520002010.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Next is finance assistant salary. Again, this is same where 2 individuals were paid out of this account. I believe the Drew White was paid out of this account as well as now Pauline Silvers was paid out of this account. So it caused a shortage in that account.
Motion to approve $5,775 to be offset by the clerk's overtime account 01560002030.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. President, the next one, finance wages union, that's actually, well, we determined today that was a counting error. It should have been taken out of, it was taken out of salaries. It should have been taken out of employee benefits line item. So
Motion to approve $1,929 to be offset by finance general office outside service account 01520002040.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
and the last one is the social services expense account that was overdrawn by $1,176.
Motion to approve $1,176 to be offset by the social service computer and grant match account 01560092020 and account 01560092370.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
I want to thank you and Dave.
There's
for
still one
doing-
more to go, Joe.
Oh, all right. I thought we were there.
Did we just do the
Yeah,
computer
the
grant
last
match?
one.
We did that?
Yep.
Okay, all right, we're
I'm
good.
sorry.
I want to thank you guys for bringing us closer to where we need to be for all of our over expenditures, correctly identifying where the money has to come from accounts that have it.
Yes.
And I'm hopeful that we're going to put last year's budget to rest at some point soon. But
Yeah.
thank you for the hard work. It shows. And I appreciate the way you did this. Very nice. Thank you.
Okay.
So-
Good job.
Next on the agenda.
One more thing. So according to my very simple math, if we take what we took out of that manager's salary account away from the 17 and change that was in it, there's $4,215.23 left in it. Am I in the ballpark?
Yes,
Or- okay.
that's what we planned. Yes.
Okay.
And that goes into the general fund and we're up.
Move it over.
Okay, item number 2, discussion and action regarding the senior center software.
Yeah, Mr. President, this is a request to bypass competitive bidding for my senior center system management. If you recall, in July, you approved purchasing this using the American Rescue Plan funds. This company, SHI Software Company, they were part of the Rhode Island MPA, but that had lapsed. But they are still part of the Massachusetts Higher Education Purchasing Consortium, which allows, it's a competitive bidding process, but it allows piggyback for states in New England, including Rhode Island. There are communities here in Rhode Island, Bristol, Warwick, Cranston that have used this to purchase or are a part of this consortium to purchase items. And I'm requesting that we be able to bypass competitive bidding and piggyback onto this.
This avoids, I'm reading here, complex and time consuming process of developing and bidding out contracts. So
I'm sorry.
it avoids the complex and time consuming process of developing and bidding out contracts. So, I mean, I understand the reason for bypassing and not.
Yes.
Well, we can use the MPA and the mask, can't we? Yeah, so motion approved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have update regarding the July 30th meeting with RIDA.
Thanks, Mr. President. So, and as we discussed a little earlier, and I don't want to belabor your time, but I just wanted to give you a synopsis of what took place that day. The management team from Mr. Walsh's department came in, RIDOT came in, explained to what roadworks was, what it wasn't, and the process of how projects get added onto the list. Talking, it's a 10-year project that cities and towns get involved through the DPW and proposed projects that should be worked on by DOT. They have a process that they look at the project, the need of the project, how serious it is, and from there it gets put on a 10-year plan, part of their 10-year plan as to what to do. They talked about the projects that have been done already here in Warren. And they talked about the projects that are in the process of working on, that they're working on right now. And then the projects that are in outlying years. And they let us know that. All of this information can be gotten from their website that they have, the Roadworks website. And they did tell us that, you know, some of the upcoming projects were the bike path bridges. We talked about that. They talked about the Broken Bridge, which I understand there was some work on, they started work on that at least today, or there were people out there doing something, from what I understand. They talked about the paving on the Metacom Avenue, but that's been delayed because of utility work that's being done up there.
Are they really doing the sidewalks from Hope Street, North Farm to Washington Street in Warren?
We had that, remember they were talking.
But are they really? They did that, that was proposed in 2020.
Yeah, but they came in, remember they marked the trees they want to take down.
Oh, that's what they're talking about?
Yeah, that's what those trees were all about. Yeah.
How are we doing with the trees?
That one will have more information in months. They're waiting on their contractor. Yeah. Because they pick a contractor, we'll have them.
Okay.
There's also, they informed us that it's a quarterly report, which updates cities and towns, or actually individuals. They can look to see with progress of the projects that are
I'm
taking
sorry, I
place.
said 2020.
Yes.
It was 2002. Just wanted clarity for the people who've been born and can now drink. It goes back in 2002.
So basically, that was a synopsis of our meeting, and obviously there's some questions that I need to make sure that Mr. Walsh gets us some answers to, but That's what took place there at the meeting.
You know, they widened the road at, where they did the work at the dam.
Did we have a question in the audience about this?
Yeah.
Please come forward, state your name.
So Birch Swamp and Kinnick, remember when they put that culvert in? Everybody was complaining it's wider.
I just drove the other day.
They spread it out.
Louis Frigo, talk Daddy Avenue. Market Street was supposed to be done in 2022. Was there any talk about Market Street?
Yeah, they're doing it right now.
The
They are?
Mhm.
The
The
Market Street
paving?
that they're doing from Schoolhouse Road to the state line
Mhm.
was scheduled for the fall of this year to push for the spring of next year. So I'm contacted them about that project, and we did talk to DOT about continuation from Andy Street to Schoolhouse, and why that keeps getting knocked out. They have been out measuring, they haven't made any commitments to that part, but that could be a separate.
They told us they're working the drainage and engineering over, next to Belcher's Cove.
I was told that they were told by the town not to be.
Aha!
Yeah, we
That's a problem.
refused state.
No, that's a problem.
Louis, if you believe that,
Well,
I gotta bridge this out here.
Well, listen, in 2017, I was told in 2022 was gonna be done. I said, shoot, I'm gonna be 60 years old. I'm 63 now, and nothing's happened.
And you think I told the
Well, hey,
state?
you know what?
to not pay.
I drive a motorcycle. Market Street is a hazard, it's a danger zone, something.
Okay, moving on to the next agenda. Did you have something else to add?
No, that one, we were pushing that one because it seems to be the forgotten parcel. You paved up the Handy Street, you're paving from Schoolhouse up.
And they did respond. Yes.
They said.
They did say-
They did respond.
Instead of fall, it's gonna be
Yeah,
spring
but
and
they
next.
responded, they put it on.
But it's been quite a few seasons going past that it's been
Okay,
moved
well,
back.
it's within a sight line.
Okay, the next is the letter that we have here from the DEM, and I'm gonna defer to the solicitor on this.
Yeah, I've been in contact with DEM on this letter that was received. I have some issues with it on a legal basis because it's the ELUR, the environmental land use restriction. So I'd ask that the matter be referred to me. I will report back to you at either the September or the October meeting.
Motion to refer this back to the solicitor in the September, October meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, solicitor.
All right, you have before you a resolution for the judgment bond, which we've discussed. This document is one of the necessary steps that you've had in the process. The General Assembly has approved this. The financial institutions need a resolution of this nature in order for the authorization to bond. By voting for this resolution, you are not bonding out for the money. What you are doing is codifying the authorization for you to go ahead, and then hopefully shortly we'll be able to come back to you and say these are the terms for the judgment bonding we have. This is a predicate document to getting to that point.
So you want a motion to approve?
Correct, yes.
So moved.
To adopt the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions from the council?
No, it's $3,300,000.
Correct.
Is the amount.
That's a not to exceed figure.
Yeah, not to exceed.
So on.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, number two, anything?
Okay, the planning board has approved this subdivision for the Church of the Saint Mary of the Bay. And part of that is a street there that goes off of 430 Water Street. You have before you a deed of street. As a municipal solicitor, I don't recommend it yet. Just actually sign the deed. Typically, what you do in matters of this nature is you accept the street, and that is just by motion. It'll be in the council minutes, and that serves as evidence that it is a public right of way, as opposed to what it is now, which is actually a private right of way.
This is technically the area within the parking lot.
This is the part that runs down by the Little League up to.
That's what I mean, but
Yes,
it's within
Luther
the parking
Street,
lot.
yeah.
Correct, yes.
The Luther Street.
It's wider than a street, so it's 22 feet of that parking lot?
Yeah,
It's
the-
demarcated.
The process is, and the planning board had some action on this. And part of it was that this would be a public street and there would be the drainage and everything else. So the town needs to take a formal action to accept. So to me, the vote that you take to accept the street is enough. And that's subject to the final plan being approved by the planning board, the decision being entered.
So are you gonna plow that street?
Oh, yeah.
I think we already do.
Plowing it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They've been plowing away.
I just wanna
Yeah.
make it, you know.
Yeah, so we've been treating. it as
Responsibility, that's what you do, and it's a
Yeah,
street.
I could discuss this for an hour about how you accept a street public use. Do you plow the street and everything else? This is the formal way to do it. That's what the church wants. And I don't want to have to go to confession about this later on, so I ask you to.
Yeah, but it's only this, it's not the whole park.
Motion to approve.
Accept.
Second.
Motion to accept the street.
Motion to accept the street, subject to a final action by the planning board, which is the decision and the recordation.
Aren't I making a motion to approve the acceptance of the street?
Yeah, subject to.
So moved.
There you go.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Next,
Just make a comment, I'm going to take the council for ending the quagmire of 3 years. I've talked to many of you on site over 3 years ago, when all we wanted to do was subdivide the 2 lots that we have there so that we put them back on a tax roll. And for 3 years, we've been involved in this quagmire that now has come before you for the final step. So it allows us to put the property on the market and actually get taxes on it. So I appreciate your final action. I also commend you on taking care of many of the issues, or discussing many of the issues that I discussed 20 or 30 years ago, including the reason I fought so hard, Mr. DePasquale, for 20 years to get zero-based budgeting so that every year we didn't have to go through a quagmire of budget. And it was Larry's gas station, by the way, that
oh
the
yeah,
food truck's gonna be on.
Larry Sunoco.
But thanks for playing.
Yeah.
We're glad.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, next we have the finance director. Revenue and expenditures, 23, 24, and 24,
We have
25.
two revenue and expenditure reports. The one for July, our first month of the new year, and the one ending June 30th. I just hit a couple of highlights in July. Typically, we have, for the past 3 years, we have averaged $3.5 million in tax collections in July. This year, for some reason, we collected $5.6 million. Now, the problem, of course, is that's probably going to come out of August. So we need about 2.3 million in August to meet what we kind of thought would be. We're at 1.75 now, so I think we'll probably meet it.
Good job.
The current balance in our checking accounts that we have access to immediately is about 5.2 million. However, we are facing a infrastructure bank debt payment in the next couple of weeks of $1,560,261. In addition, the trust, when they bill us for our P&L and workers' comp, they're nice enough to let us pay half in July and half in August. So we paid the first half. We got to pay the next half in the next couple of weeks, next few days. And then we have the school, $1.2 million, and another payroll. So we're looking at $3 million in the next couple of weeks, which is a lot of money. But
Could I ask a question?
yes, sir.
Mr. Of the solicitor, would it be feasible for us to contact the bank, the what?
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure bank, and ask them if we can readjust our payment schedule,
Absolutely.
considering it's, state program and,
Absolutely.
do you want that in a motion or?
Who
You just gonna,
who would be the one to contact them?
just ask you and the manager to contact?
Traffic Commission?
I don't mind doing it. I know Brian doesn't mind doing it, but I'd like Herb to be involved because they like.
All right, I make a motion that the three of you contact the infrastructure bank and reschedule our payments, ask them if we can reschedule the calendar payment.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's the highlights of the July report. There's not much there because
Yep.
it's first here.
Yep.
All right, let's turn to the FY 24 report. The revenue portion is, it is what it is. It's nothing real exciting there, but let me hit a couple of highlights in the expense areas. You'll note that the insurance line has only been 41% expended. Again, half in July, half in August. The half in July was posted properly. We can't find where she posted the second half. I have a call into, I've asked the trust to let me know the details of the payment. I assume it was made or they would be yelling at me. But when we find out where it is and how much it was, we will post it and it'll appear. We have a little bit of a mystery with the pension. You'll notice that we're over. The problem is, this is an automatic thing. There's no judgment involved here. You take the payroll, you multiply it by the proper percentage, and you send it into the ERISA. And we're still, we did that. When I got here, I was told that one of the top priorities was getting the retirement payments done because they hadn't been done in months. And so that's kind of what I did for the first couple of months. And I did make a couple of mistakes, but they've been corrected. I can only conclude that there was a budgeting error this year I can't think of any other reason. Unless it had to do with maybe the new contracts for the police and were not considered properly or something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, if any pay increases could have thrown the math
Exactly.
off. I know
Yeah.
longevity goes into the MERS too.
Why
so.
wouldn't the audit have picked that up? I mean, the auditors came in and audited. How do they not see this?
We haven't had the audit for this year.
No, he's talking about this year.
Yeah.
For
The past 3 weeks, this has happened, the past month?
no, this is for the past year.
Correct, that was just audited, that they came.
No. Right.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
for this audit, this fiscal year is December.
I,
Correct,
all
yeah.
right, thank you. No wonder I got this pain in my neck.
So are the MERS payments on time, on schedule,
We are.
and up to date?
We are absolutely caught up
Okay.
and putting them in like clockwork every 2 weeks.
Well, we yet to find the discrepancy there. It's an odd, it's.
I can't figure it out.
Well, those have penalties attached to them. That's why I'm asking, that if you don't pay them,
They do.
it triggers critical status.
do.
Yes.
The anomaly isn't that a payment was made, the anomaly is that there was an
It was an
overpayment,
overpayment.
but the payments have been made.
Now on the, well,
That's
that's
an
the overpayment, are they gonna reimburse or will they apply that to the?
No, they're gonna apply it, and my guess is we're still probably below the percentage that we're supposed to be by statute.
I don't think so.
How do you know this, Stephen?
Well, Pauline's doing an audit
Yeah,
right now. So we'll know within a couple of weeks
Yeah.
where we are.
Warren is not, we're still below the percentage number that we're supposed to be at.
Well, how do you know this?
You're talking about the
Excuse me?
fully funded pension pot, the 80% where the
Yeah.
COLA stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't have to do with the current payment.
No, but if we don't make our payments, it triggers critical status.
Yeah, we're not in.
No, we're not.
payments are Not in arrears.
Yeah.
The question is how, well, the fund, right?
Yeah.
Two questions. How does Mr. Kalenda know this and not us?
It's all. it's
Well, that
public.
we're not
It's
fully
public.
public pension funded?
Yeah, the public pension fund numbers are there.
Yeah.
Just go and read them.
I don't think,
So the
I don't
first
think
I'm
we're at,
hearing of this is this.
I don't think we're at, I don't think we're at 80%, but we're not that far behind.
No.
Not that far behind the discussion, it's not relevant.
Yeah, somebody please help me here.
We haven't been current for 30 years.
No, nobody does.
Questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Good job.
Okay, next we have the tax assessor.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, good evening.
Chris.
So on the agenda, the first four items are a little bit of bookkeeping. So I'm requesting for the first three would be abatements. The first is on the 2017 tax roll for the amount of $44.02.
Motion to approve 4402, an abatement.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
The second would be an abatement to the 2003 tax roll in the amount of $8,920.
Motion to approve $8,920, abatement,
We have a
23
motion-
tax roll.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
The third would be an abatement to the 2024 tax roll in the amount of $768.04.
Motion to approve an abatement, 24 tax roll, $768.04.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the fourth item for bookkeeping would be in addition to the 2024 tax roll in the amount of $24,497.74.
Who wants to make that motion?
Oh,
That's a
I
good,
can't.
Good one. I like that.
motion to approve $24,497.74 in addition to the 24 tax roll.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
And
Okay.
the fifth item is we're up for a revow for coming up for the 26 tax year, so December 31st of 2025. We went out to bid. This is a full reappraisal. We received two bids. One from the company that we've been using since I've been here, so over 9 years, Northeast Revaluation Group. They also are called Catalyst now. That was in the amount of $185,000. And then the second bid was with Vision Appraisal, and they came in at 50% higher at $279,000.
So Catalyst is actually Northeast, they're our current.
That's the
vendors.
same, yeah. So Northeast got purchased by Catalyst about a year or so ago, but it's the same personnel that are working for Northeast.
Motion to approve Catalyst Tax Camera Inc., $185,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the town planner and his Bible.
Don't say it's a Bible. The solicitor will make you go to confession. So just want to make sure for tonight, you are formally receiving the town plan that is now yours. It's out of the hands of the planning board. It is, for those that are watching, it is up on the town webpage, easily clicked on if you go through my side of the webpage, but I think you can actually get there through the planning board as well. So what I'd like to be able to do is to get a motion that is formally receiving the town plan from the planning board for your
Motion
consideration.
to officially accept the Resilient Warren Comp Plan.
You want to set the meeting? Anthony, can we set the meeting in the same motion?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this different or the same as
It is
the previous?
It is not the same as the previous edition. It's the bulk of it is still the same, but there were some modifications that were made in light of the state's preliminary review process for several of the chapters, and then just some tweaking by the planning board since you last jointly met.
Okay.
So do we want to include the
September 9th.
September 9th?
Should you choose to, that would be acceptable.
That works. Is September 9th acceptable
So
for
that's
the
a-
council?
They're gonna be changing the meeting to that night, 6 p.m.
I gotta tell you something. This is important. You got a lot already scheduled for September. It's before an election. You might want to do this in October.
Okay.
I think this deserves.
Does that calendar mess anything up with the state, Herb?
No, the tip, you're only required under statute to have a minimum of one public hearing. If you decide to put it off, the world's not going to end. If you decide to continue to schedule it that night, you can always hear some comment and then continue it to the October meeting. Whatever, it's basically your, in your bailiwick at your choice. The only thing I'll just add as part of that is that there are basically three things that need to occur before you can adopt this, which, as the solicitor's mentioning, probably will not matter if you move it to the October meeting. One, obviously, I just mentioned you need to schedule and hold a public hearing, make any changes that are necessary. What I would do is if you're tempted to make substantial changes, you should keep your public hearing open until you're settled on the particular changes, so that you're not necessarily having to have another warned public hearing. The other is that the harbor management plan needs to be approved and adopted. You've already approved it. It's been sent off to CRMC. There's one remaining issue that needs to be filed in order for our CRMC to make a decision on that. But the plan cannot be adopted until the harbor management plan is done, because you have to incorporate that as part of the comprehensive plan. The third thing is that I didn't know this until just last week, but apparently municipal plans need to be referenced, incorporated by reference into your code. So there's actually a change you need to make to your code that you've never done this before, because the last time you adopted a plan, this part of the law didn't exist. So there is some language that I've given to the town solicitor to consider. It will have to do the first and second reading like you would normally do. So I'm just waiting for the solicitor's input and then would put it on the agenda accordingly. Those are the three things. So that now for your scheduling.
We should have put this to our.
What I'm thinking, I was just gonna ask the council, do you think, should we have a special meeting for this? Do you think there's gonna be enough interest where there's gonna be a lot of discussion, which?
Based on what came in front of planning, there wasn't a tremendous amount of discussion, because I was at that meeting.
Yep.
I mean, so is an hour enough? Well, maybe that's pushing the envelope, but.
So if we start at 6, we do it on the.
Well, that's what the
October
idea
meeting?
was at the next meeting, the September meeting, but I guess we need a little more time to go to October, but.
Right. Yeah, I'm not aware.
If you think an hour's gonna be enough and you want to start at 6, that's okay.
And the September meeting, we're already starting an hour early.
No, that
Correct.
request.
No, we're
was
already, yeah, that's on the agenda.
Yeah, we're starting at 7 on the.
But so we will be starting at 6 anyway,
If we put
approve
this
it.
to the September meeting, the request was to start it at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So, Mr. DeSisto. Can I make the motion to go September? Now we're there, our harbor management plan can,
You mean
move along?
October?
No, September 9th. I want the meeting to start at 6, and we're gonna put this on. My motion is to.
The meeting's already starting at 6. It wasn't because of
No.
this.
No, it's because of
There's
this.
a motion, no, it's because they gotta get up real early the next day for the election. That's why we were starting at 6, so they could get out of here early.
I thought it was because of this.
No, I believe that request was
Alright,
made
I-
before this was
I
done.
misunderstood that.
Yeah.
Thing.
I think it's gonna be a killer if we do it on the September meeting.
This has already been publicly discussed.
To me, the biggest issue that potentially would come in the door is the question of historic preservation district and the formalization of such a situation. But
I forgot about that. Do it in October.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a
Alright.
lot of, now that the public's got a hold of this, I've heard a lot of feedback.
Motion is
on
set.
Historic properties to it.
Motion to set the comp plan to October's meeting and start at 6.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Public Works.
I'm gonna be quick and just ask if we can push this to September's. I'll have an update then. We got this in Friday. Was not anticipating actually having to.
You sure you don't want to weigh us down?
I do not.
Do you want to reject these?
I want to
Or
just
no
continue it with no action for a month so that I can properly review both bids, because there's a large discrepancy between costs and I want to know
Yep.
why. That's all.
100,
Is that the correct
over
action?
100,000.
It's October 8th.
Motion move to continue.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have Sewer Department. Discussion and action regarding the wastewater HVAC unit.
Mr. President, this is regarding the fan. If you recall, I believe last month we talked about the fan in the basement that brings in fresh air and takes out the foul air that's down there. We went out to bid. We received one bid, and the bid is for $15,908.82.
And that's within the amount we thought. it
We
was.
allocated the 1,300, I'm sorry, 13,500 of opera funds for this.
Do we want to
At the time, that was what we had for.
reject it and see if the manager can discuss with the bidder? Is that?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Motion to reject and discuss with the loan bidder, the bid.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next. Letter from the Secretary of State Greg Amori giving the town $13,535 for the purchase of security cases for the voting equipment. Sandy?
State announced the election security grant program, 2024. I had applied for the grant funds from Rhode Island Department of State and to enhance the security for elections. The security panel reviewed my submission and determined it needs to attend of the grant program on strengthening security and election systems.
Very
in
nice.
the town. So I did get that and I
That'll lead us into number 2. Yep.
to, if what's bid. Received 13 and I'm asking if I could go out to the motion.
So motion to reject the sole bid and the clerk can hopefully renegotiate with the sole bidder.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And number 3, we've already discussed.
Discuss that, the September meeting start at 6 on because of the election and both myself and Jess will bring you so we get on by 5:30 this morning.
So aren't we changing it from a date to September 9th?
You're going, yeah.
Or is it just
September
time?
10th to September 9th.
September 10th to the 9th.
Right, that's,
And at
We
6
already done
o'clock,
that.
correct.
Yeah.
I think we already changed the date.
Yeah.
but now we're doing the
We're just
time.
changing the time to 6.
Motion to change the start time of the September 9th council meeting to 6 P M.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to
Second.
adjourn and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.